Welcome back to the channel, everybody.
Welcome to another Friday Night Live.
All right, we made it through another week.
Yes.
And here in the Midwest, we woke up to some snow this morning. Really teed me off this morning. I really wasn't ready.
Right?
Yes, it did. I didn't think I was going to get much, but I got too much.
Well, I'm glad it melted.
Me too. Yes, me too.
So what are we talking about today?
We are talking with
the Dr. Reverend Derrick B. Wells.
Yes. The episode came out this week, but we'll get more into that. But we're here to talk about some special things that Derrick has going on.
Right? So we're here now to talk about how to be happy 365.
All right after this. Like I said, welcome to the channel once again. Hey, this is the channel where we teach you how to take your marriages off of cruise control.
Let's take those relationships to another height. So we had the honor of Wednesday on our podcast to have the Reverend Dr. Derrick B. Wells on, him and his wife, First Lady Sylvia. And so here we're with our guest today is Derrick.
Yep. All right, let's go ahead and get him in.
Reverend Wells.
Hey, welcome back.
Hey, I'm excited to be back. Thank you for having me once again. We get to spend two weeks together. That's a beautiful.
Yeah, that's right.
That makes it all worthwhile, right?
For sure.
So I know our episode, that was episode number 92. All right, Jace, right? Episode number 92?
It was episode number 92. That is correct.
And it was Navigating Life's Calling. So we had, again, Derrick and his wife on, Reverend Derrick and First Lady Sylvia.
Yep.
And so tell us, before we get into the book and the other part of it, tell us just a little bit about your marriage. And she's not here to answer the questions for you.
She can't get you right this time, so you got to get all the answers correct.
So I know Jason always tells me he hates pop quizzes. So let's see, let's see how you do.
Yeah. So I don't know if you all remember the scene from Friday, where Smokey says when Debo is around, he doesn't talk, but when Debo leaves, he starts talking again.
Yeah,
that's kind of how I view my position in our relationship. When we're not being interviewed together, I'm the boss. I run the show.
All right.
I'm the go-to person. When the real boss is around, I be quiet again.
All right.
You start deferring for the answer.
Short version. Like we really do have an amazing relationship. We have an amazing marriage. Not only do we have an amazing marriage, we have an amazing friendship. We enjoy parenting together. Now we're enjoying grandparenting together. And my experience has been, and I believe I can speak for both of us, but my experience has been that it really has been a joy and a blessing to have a partner to take this journey we call life with, and to be able to navigate the highs and the lows, the peaks and the valleys, the transitions in life, and to be able to, not necessarily have every moment of every day be smooth, but to have either the tools, the dexterity, or the commitment to work with it in those times wherein things start to get a little bit shaky. And quite frankly, it really does take the commitment of both parties in order to be able to accomplish that. And so it takes 100% of both partners. And every now and again, somebody might be at an 85. That means the other partner's going to have to be at a 115. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
What's needed, because like the Reverend Dr. Winston Johnson would often say, I recall him saying, like, it's not 50-50. It's you're bringing 100%, I'm bringing 100%. And when we do that, we add our collection that gives us the ability to synergize the possibility and the potential that exists in our relationship. And so that's been my experience in relationship with my wife. So it's been a treat.
All right.
That's what I like to hear. We got a couple of comments I just want to get out there.
All right.
Annette Winnington, thank you for chiming in. Fabulous.
Says hello.
Fabulous Friday. Thank you so much. Hey, drop your comments in there. And if you got any questions for the Rev, drop those in as well. Hey, Vicky, how are you? It's nice to see you. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. All right, we're going to go ahead and get into it here.
All right, so I just had a question. Seeing that your book is about living happy, right? And we know that marriages have their ups and downs, and our podcast is about, or our channel is about relationships, marriage, how to make them work.
Yes.
So what do you think is the hardest part about a relationship? I would say marriage, but it's the same thing. It's one and the same. So what do you think is the hardest part, and how do people navigate that?
What's the hardest part of relationship?
Marriage is the hardest part about, let's say relationship. What do you, in your, of course, your opinion, what is the hardest part about a relationship?
So I would say the most challenging part of relationship is to own the responsibility for what you bring.
Ooh.
Right. So like it's not about where your mate is and what your mate does. It's about where you are in relation to that, right? And so one of the things I recognize, I'm sure you guys do too, is that within the context of relationship, you may have influence with your mate, with your spouse, but you don't have control over your mate or your spouse. And what I mean by recognizing our responsibility is by recognizing the power and the control that you have over yourself to bring that awareness into the context of that relationship, so that you can do individually whatever you can to help make that relationship as holistic as it can be. So I think the toughest part is the work we have to do internally. And once we know that we've done what we can do internally, once we know we've done our part to bring a not perfect, but maybe holistic being to the relationship, then I think that gives you more bandwidth to deal with some of the other elements that invariably you experience within the context of your relationships, really regardless of the nature of those relationships. Like whether it's when I get that, like this deals with marriage, intimate relationships, but sometimes the same dynamics exist within the context of our other relationships. And so again, it always comes back to where am I, what am I doing, how am I committed to fixing the problem rather than fixing the blame kind of thing.
So it's sort of like owning up to your own stuff.
Oh.
For first and foremost, right?
Yeah.
First and foremost.
I know we struggle with that, Rev. I know we struggle with owning up to our own stuff. I know.
Yeah, I mean, but that's where the power is, right?
Yes.
That's where the power is. It's in leveraging what I think and what I say, particularly in those moments where, maybe we've had an experience and we're charged up, and because you're in a relationship with someone, you kind of know the buttons, right? And so when talking about being empowered and owning your responsibility, given that maybe the relationship is in a charged moment, do you push the button because you know what kind of response it'll get?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Or do you extend some sort of grace because in those moments wherein you've had your buttons pushed, it was not best for the relationship, right? So
exactly.
It's those kind of things, those micro decisions that we're often making moment by moment in experience after experience that give us the greatest leverage to make the most out of our relationship, right? And so, yeah, it's personal responsibility. It begins there. And again, once you take care of that, then you can begin to, like I said, expand the bandwidth for what you can add and how you can help multiply the relationship.
All right.
Yeah.
So
Jessica, Jessica, right. Richmond said nice, and like in your comments there, Rev, keeping it real for sure. For sure, that's how you do it. Jason says, happy Friday,
That's your boy.
family. Yeah, yep. He actually tuned in. Thank you, Jason, for tuning in.
What's up, boss?
Yeah.
Well, they actually love Reverend Wells. So
Yes.
there you
Those
go.
are my guys. Those are my guys and girls. And we're not going to even talk about that daughter because she and I have a thing. She knows what it is.
Yes, she does.
You know what
I
it
got
is.
your own little personal
We're
relationship.
closing that tonight.
Yeah,
That's going to be our family secret.
that's right.
All right.
But I want to talk about. So we're here talking to Reverend Wells. Reverend Wells is the published author of at least how many books have you authored, Rev?
5 books.
5.
So
All
far.
right. Well, I got 2 of them up here. So, all right, I got 2 of your 5. Right.
Right,
So for
right,
right now, we
right.
have these 2. Rev is the author of these books here. We're here to really talk about Live Happy, but I know he also has the guidelines for mastery, the 12 step
master. That's
for
right.
master. Yeah.
All right. So let's get into Live Happy. So before we dive into it, tell us a little bit about it, just a little bit, because we have some questions.
Yeah, we do.
And then tell us the inspiration behind it.
Okay, so Happy is a daily action guide to help us reclaim ownership of our happiness.
All right.
Like we live in a time where we have more resources, we have more money, we have more information, we have more entertainment, and the science is telling us that people are becoming less and less happy. So we have more, and yet somehow we're experiencing less happiness. And this was before the global pandemic of 2020, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so what occurred for me in 2020 was, as a pastor of a church, like seeing and experiencing and hearing and feeling when it didn't necessarily have to be my members even, but when people were struggling or suffering through the challenges of the pandemic, like, challenges like having a family member make a transition and not being able to, in a fulfilling way, perhaps even sometimes in a way that helped us get closure, like not being able to have a service in a way that we become accustomed to. And so what happens to us when we leave those experiences with things that we've come to count on no longer available to us, right? So it's not just the changes in the global environment, like it's things that were happening to us on a day by day, sometimes moment by moment basis, that was causing us to recalibrate our normal. And so oftentimes the things we were going through had some twinge of pain attached to them. And I'm using that term as a descriptor of what it felt like for many of us as we were working through it.
Sure.
And so I wanted to be able to help Jason and Tina. I wanted to be able to provide some support. I wanted to be able to do whatever I could to be of service to a community, to a world really, that was in pain. And so the idea came for this book. Now, just like everybody else was going through, I was going through too.
Yes.
Right. And so
right.
when the idea came, I wasn't really open to it because I wasn't in a creative flow.
Right.
I was working through my stuff as well. Like I'm trying to figure out like how do you get comfortable preaching a lesson to an empty room where there's no feedback.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And how do you comfort and care for your people when you can't touch them? You know what I'm saying? Like I'm figuring it out on the fly as well. And so as I'm working through my own stuff, I just didn't feel like I was in a creative space.
Right.
And so the year starts to go by. In October, which is Christ Universal Temple's anniversary month, Darlene Brooks, who is a member of the Temple Ensemble and a member of our singing group, of our Temple Voices, she came and like she brought the idea back to me, and she and I had this conversation maybe 2 or 3 years prior. So this is really kind of the third indication that there's something for me to do. There's some work for me to do in this season. And, you know, she and I kind of chop it up, and I'm like, you know what, Darlene, I'm going to do it. I'm going to get to work at the top of next year. And so on January 1st of 2021, I began writing, and my goal was to write 3 passages every day. My target completion date was the end of April. And for the most part, I stayed on track. But you guys know, like I do, that every now and again you fall off. But for the most part, I stayed on track. I was able to get my 3 out. Sometimes what I wrote on paper or what I typed in the night before, when I read it the morning after, I'm like, this will never see the light of day. But at least I was disciplined enough to take myself through the exercise of doing what I was committed to do, right? And so again, like just in terms of happiness, discipline is one of the things, or following through on our discipline is one of the things that helps us reestablish our commitment, not only to what we said we wanted to do, but to purpose. And when we're established in purpose, that also is a bridge to happiness, just kind of as an aside. And so to just kind of bring it full circle, spent the top part of the year getting the work done. And then we spent another maybe 3-4 months in the editing process. And that wasn't perfect. I just read something. I think I read the passage today. Today's lesson where my editor missed something. I missed it. My editor missed it. But the good news is we've been able to produce it, get it in the hands of people. I was on a virtual book signing discussion group last night, and just like the impact that this book is having in the lives of those who have it, like I'm blessed and I'm pleased and I'm honored and I'm really grateful that I've been able to get it out of my head and out of my heart and into the hands of people who it could help, which is what the intention was when the idea came originally. So just kind of full circle. That's how we got to Live Happy.
Okay.
I know you want to make some comments, but all right, go ahead.
Okay, can I get a comment?
Yep.
All right, Vicki, got a question for you. How do we navigate when times are tough? The toughest?
How do we? So.
Well, everything is good and everything is good and dandy in the times when it's nice. But like you said, when I'm not that perfect person in the relationship, when I know how to cut a little deeper, do I go there or do I just let it ride and then for the sake of my relationship?
Yeah, I think she's going back to when I said, what is the hardest thing about being in a relationship?
Yeah.
So I guess she said, so how do you navigate when
times are a little tough? And I really want to take that jab at
when happy is nowhere, like H is so far. H is where the Z is, right?
You don't even have the H in happiness.
Right.
So what do you do, right? So what do you do when you don't even have the H in happiness? You do the next thing that you can, right? So for instance, if you were climbing a flight of stairs and you're on the first floor and the target, the aim, the goal is to get to the second floor, or the goal is to get to happiness. Mm-hmm. And the challenge for many of us is we try to take on the entire process of getting from level 1 to level 2. So we try to jump from level 1 to level 2, when the reality is all you have to do is take the next step.
All right.
Whatever that is. Okay. So if my goal is to get from pain to happiness, what's the next thing I can do, right? And
not your partner, right?
It's our situations. Mm-hmm. Everyone's situation is different.
Absolutely.
The question I want us to focus on is, what's the next thing I can do? What is my next step, right? Is that forgiveness? Mm-hmm. Is that forgiving myself? Is that a conversation? Is that establishing a savings account? Is that, you know what I'm saying? Like if we're fighting over money or we're fighting over who does the chores, is the next step to have a conversation about hiring a housekeeper? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So like what's the next immediate step? And here's why that's important. That's important because people who don't take step one never take step two.
Right.
And so if I'm not clear about what my roadmap is to progress, then it becomes more difficult to navigate, right? Navigation, the beautiful thing about the navigation system is it helps you locate yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
Right, right.
It also helps you determine where you want to go. But the navigation system does not determine that for you. You have to determine that. And once you determine where you want to go, the navigation system will lay out the road. Right?
All right.
That's
That's right.
Then what you have to do after that is the next step of following the road. And so it's the same thing with our happiness. So like again, without knowing about anyone's particular situation, like so first, where are you trying to get to?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Is it more peace? Is it reconciliation within the context of your relationship? Is it like what is that? And then what are the steps to that? And then take the next step. Once you accomplish that step, take the next step. Because the beautiful thing about taking the steps is if you continue to move from one step to the next, getting to the second floor is not a concern. All you have to do is take the steps, and you naturally arrive at the place of
Your
having
destination.
navigated obstacles.
All right. All right. We have another comment.
Yeah. Go ahead, babe.
Oh, no, you can read it.
All right. My intent is to reclaim my happy every day, but it seems like nothing
Wants me to be happy.
How do I proceed against the odds? Thanks,
Yeah,
Nancy. We appreciate you.
That's a really good question, Nancy. And so I would first say recognize this. There is nothing against you or your happiness. Now I know it might seem like things are.
Mm-hmm.
I know it might seem like people are. But what I want you to know is that there is nothing against you or your happiness, Nancy, maybe except for you. Right? There is an African proverb that says, if there is no enemy within, the enemy outside can do me no harm. And so once I commit to being happy, right, which can be huge for some of us, because oftentimes we leak energy, we leak opportunity, we leak happiness as we give attention to other people and other stuff, right? And so when we're committed to something, that committed is often followed by some discipline that helps us move from where we are to where we desire to be. So no different than anything else. First, realize that nothing and no one is against you. And I'm not suggesting that there aren't people working against you. I'm not suggesting that there aren't people talking about you. Mm-hmm. I'm not suggesting that there aren't people hating on you. I'm not suggesting that there aren't people mistreating you. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is understand that they don't hold the power to your happiness. The key to your happiness is within. Happiness is an inside job. So it's not about your resources. It's not about the nature of your relationship as much as it is about repositioning yourself so that you can be and live from your happy place, and then conditioning your environment. And by environment, I mean the people in your relationships. So what do we do when we're in relationship with someone and they're happy on the negative side of life?
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
So we've all encountered those people who aren't happy unless we're sad. Right. Mm-hmm. And so when you encounter someone who is only happy on the negative side of life, first you have to recognize that. You don't ignore that, right? Like we make excuses for people. We say, well, all that's just Diane, mm-hmm. or that's just how David is. Well, if how David is a detriment to your sensibilities within the relationship, you're not disempowered to make decisions about how you engage in that relationship. You are empowered to make decisions about how you engage in that relationship. So maybe that means you and David or you and Diane only talk once a week, maybe instead of every day. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And so I just want you to know, Nancy, that nothing and no one can stand against you once you make up your mind to be happy, right? But you have to choose that, and you have to decide to be a force in your own life. You have to decide to be active in your own rescue. And again, I'm not saying that obstacles won't present themselves.
Right.
Right. Obstacles will, by virtue of life's experiences, the obstacles will present themselves. But I'm saying once you reclaim your commitment to be happy, what you'll do at the same time is reclaim your ability to creatively navigate the obstacles that present themselves in your life, world, and affairs. So that's one of the things that we have to know. Whenever we get emotionally hijacked, it comes at the cost of our creativity.
All right. So you want to ask another question?
Yeah, I do. But Nancy said real stuff, and thanks for the encouragement. And that's what we're here to do. And we got one more up here from Sister Vicky.
All right.
Do you think past wounds bring a lot of issues in marriages?
I'm
going to let you go ahead and take this one.
All right.
So obviously they do. Right.
So, Rev, we're gonna say this. It looked like you preaching a sermon today. Like, questions. Which is good because we know that people are hurting.
Right.
And so,
right.
So go ahead and I don't know if you was prepared for a sermon, but go ahead.
No. We wanna. If you go to a doctor, right? If you go to a doctor and you complain to your doctor about pain in your big toe, she doesn't tape up your finger. Right?
All right.
Because that's not the area of concern. And so fortunately your audience is they trust you enough to share the areas of concern. And so we give thanks for the opportunity to speak into and perhaps share some insight and some guidance that can help with the area of concern.
Absolutely.
So back to Vicky's question, do wounds and repeat that question for me?
Sure. Well, I'll put it back up on the screen there for you, Rev. Do
I
you think past wounds
bring a lot of issues in marriages? Absolutely, right. And so I think of wounds, my wounds and the wounds of others. I think of those as our baggage, right? Mm-hmm. And you guys know, like I do, you carry your baggage with you, right? And so oftentimes what we do is we live out of our baggage or we live out of our woundedness.
Right.
Right. And we may not even realize that we're functioning in this relationship from a past model or from a past mindset or from past hurts.
Right.
Right. Because ultimately what we want to do is avoid that same level of hurt.
Right.
Now, here is the challenge. When I lead with my wounds, if I bump into you by accident, it's going to irritate my wound, right? If I lead with my sensibilities and you accidentally rub up against those, it's going to irritate my wound. If I lead with my wound and you embrace me and the embrace rubs against the wound, even a loving embrace can irritate the wound if I lead with my wound, right?
Right.
Well, some of us lead with our wounds. Then there's the class or categories of us who hide our wounds, right? But wounds that aren't healed resurface
all the time.
And the challenge is that when they resurface, they resurface with more intensity because they've had an opportunity, like a good wine, they've had an opportunity to ferment.
Yes.
So they come back more aggressive, they come back more assertive. And so when we hide our wounds rather than heal our wounds, we find ourselves now being proactive in protection, right?
Right.
So what do we do if we find that we've got baggage or we've got wounds that from our past that we brought into our present, which is a very, very common way in which we manage our lives, right? What you do is you heal your wounds, right? One of the greatest ways, and this was the Live Happy writing for it, I think a day or two ago, Wednesday actually. Forgiveness is an amazing way to heal the wounds of one's past, right?
Yep.
Why is forgiveness so important? It's important because it helps my forgiveness helps free me up from my need to stay connected to the hurt of the past, right? Gerald Jampolsky said, forgiveness is giving up all hope for a better past. And when we're really committed to being the best version of ourselves in our present relationship, in our present marriage, forgiveness is a regular act. And so when Jesus is talking to Peter says to Jesus with a lot of pride, he's like, Master, I was in the temple and I had an opportunity to forgive. How many times should I do it? Should I do it 7 times? And Jesus is like, no, like that's a good start, bro. But not so much. Like you need to do it 70 times 7 or until there are no more wounds, right? Or until the abrasions of life no longer irritate those wounds, right? The last thing I'll say about that is, particularly within the context of our relationship, one of the other mistakes we make is that we think people see our wounds or they know what our wounds are, right? And more often than not even your mate knows what your wounds are, right? Because again, most of us, we bury those. Mm-hmm. And even when we lead from our place of hurt, we don't do it with the understanding of saying, this is a pain point for me. And when this happens within the context of our relationship, it bothers me, right? Because like most of us just aren't that conscious. And if we are that conscious, we may not have the courage to say, when you do this, this is what I experience, right? Or when you do this, this is the story I tell myself. Right. But notice what I'm saying. Like, I'm not saying when you do this, you're wrong. Mm-hmm. I'm saying when you do this, this is the story I tell myself. Why? Going back to that, where we started at, that personal responsibility, because that may not be your intention, but because in my last relationship or in my past relationship, when somebody did that, they were trying to push my buttons. When you do it, you're just trying to get to know me.
But you can't really tell the difference. It's all the same. Your wounds are going to react.
It's just hurt. For you, it's just hurt.
Right.
For me, it's just someone touching my wound and it's painful. Yeah. So for me, it's indifferent, right? All I know is when this happens, I experience pain and I don't want to experience pain. So if that means I fight you, I curse you, I leave you, I don't trust you, you know what I'm saying? Or I go and get my needs met someplace else, like whatever that means for us, that's what it means. But we might get the short-term fix, but we still haven't healed the wound.
Okay, so
it's going to show up somewhere else.
So let's go to this next one. I'm good with that point, right? So a lot of hurt going on in the world right now, just in relationships in general.
Right.
So tell us the connection. How can...
Hold on 1 second. I just want to say this. Give him a break for a second.
Okay.
We're talking with the author, the Reverend Dr. Derrick B. Wells. We're talking about his new book out, Live Happy, 365 daily practices. And this is what we need, 365 days. We can't just be happy 1 or 2 times.
Or it's a daily practice.
It's a daily practice. practice
it on Sunday,
Right.
and then forget
Right.
about it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
Right.
So it's a daily practice, and which leads me to the next question, which was, how does your book, if people are in a place where they want happy, right? They're on that first floor, and they want happy, and they're like, I don't even know where to begin, or I'm so like out of touch. How does this book help me? How, like, people look at books as that's just another book. That, like, explain to someone out there that's really needing to understand that
And I don't know where to
happiness is
start or
an
where to go.
inside- Right, happiness is an inside job. Explain to them how this book connects with them and making their life, taking that next step to be happy.
Yeah. So I in my experience, like, and I've had the pleasure of working in marketplace, working in military, working in leading in marketplace and military, working and leading in ministry. The only industry that I haven't led in is academic. But of course, in my education, I've got a lot of experience in academia. I say that to say one of the things that I've been blessed to do is a great deal of research or people-based research.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
And so some of it is experiential. Some of it is just straight up research, pure research on how to help people move from where they are to where they desire to be. So how does Live Happy help? Live Happy, as I said a bit ago, is an action guide that's intended to cover the range of human experience, right? For some people, it's difficult to find happiness when their money isn't right. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I've been broke, and it sucked for me, right?
Suck for everybody that's broke.
And so learning how, and fortunately I had a great mentor in the Reverend Dr. Johnny Coleman, who helped me to recondition how I thought and felt in relation to money. And so I've been able to change that. And so Live Happy provides not only insights, not only experiences, not only instructions, but it also provides a daily practice as a step, right?
Mm-hmm.
Provides steps both in the writing and in the practice. That's why I say it's an action guide, right? So it's not just a read. This is I recognize that things don't improve by chance; they improve by change. And so Live Happy is written with the focus to help us shift into change so that we can be a force in our own lives. And so that's really how it helps. It's written to put you into action so that you can begin to do the things or make the needle point moves that give you the ability to move from where you are to where you can be.
All right. So Jason, tell them how to find the book over there.
Okay, so there, I know we've done something very special here.
I want to rap if you're not getting ready to rap.
I'm not getting ready to rap yet.
No.
I'm having fun. I don't know. I already texted people and told them I'm delayed. So
Bring up the book
you
real
won't be
quick,
up
Jason.
there.
So for I know Dr. Wells, Reverend Wells, has probably another place, but right now what we do is when we have our guest on and we feel like the book is beneficial, I know we're about self-improvement, self-empowerment, building better relationships. So if you want to purchase his book, you can go to our website at legendaryrelationship.com/books and you can find it, Live Happy. So let's start today living happy. All right, let's go back to the question, Jason. So I say that because there was a comment, where can we purchase the book? So you can go to our website.
We made it easy for you guys. It's right here. It's going to take you right there to Amazon. You can purchase it. Just go ahead, legendaryrelationship.com/books.
All right. So there was another comment, and when Jason finds it, then we can say it.
There you go,
All
sweetie.
right. All right. All you, Ref.
I had to stop the blame game. We all should stop the blame game and look at me. That's a good start. First, God revealed some areas that I needed to work on within my happiness. Oh,
Right,
Annette, that is so true. You wanna kind of expound on that, Rev?
I think she said it, Jay.
She did. She did,
All
didn't
right.
she? But I mean, you know what? We don't always we always look to point the finger versus saying that,
It's
owning
easier.
it.
It's
right?
easier. It's easier that way.
It
right?
is.
It's
Right.
easier.
Right.
If
Well,
I
at least
don't have
in
to.
the short term, it's easier, right?
Yes.
Right, exactly. So I don't have to face what's wrong with me if I can say something's wrong with you.
Right, because ain't nothing wrong
Right.
with me. I don't be. I'm just gonna put that out there.
All right.
It's
You
easier.
in the generic
But
sense of the term.
the challenge is the compound effect of not correcting ourselves.
Self.
Right.
Absolutely.
It's kind of like when your car needs a wheel alignment, right? It gets out of alignment simply by some of the bumps in the road,
Mm-hmm.
but it never gets back in alignment
Right.
with the,
Without a wheel alignment.
and so the longer we drive out of alignment, the worse it gets, right? And so what I also take from what Annette said was just recognizing when we're out of alignment and then doing the work that has to be done in order to help us get back in alignment.
All right, so let's read the next one from Jason Scott.
Sometimes we don't even know our true wounds because we spend so much time masking and hiding. That's so true. In order to be open and transparent with our partners, we first must be transparent with ourselves.
All right. That sounds like a truth student.
Yes, it is. It is.
We're great parenting.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. So, which is a good practice. So, I mean, I can't say this enough. There for people who maybe we know that it's a self awareness, right? We know it's self work, it's self improvement, it's self empowerment. But how do we start? And I know it's day by day, but for those people that may be going through, a spouse that has cheated on them, or something so devastating that right now they're just like, my head is just in that cloud of where I just cannot even look up. So before we take that first step in purchasing the book, what is a recommendation that you could give them to help putting them back on that path and then reaching out to the book for a daily practice?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So I think it goes back to something I said earlier. So when you find yourself in that fog or the haze, if you will, what does better look like for you, right? Even in the fog, once things clear up, what do you want to see, right? So when a race car driver is in a spin, one of the things that they're taught to do when they come out of a spin is focus, right? Because if they focus on the wall as they're coming out of the spin, guess what they're going to crash into?
Yep.
Crash into the wall. So if your life is in a tailspin, the immediate thing I would encourage you to do is to stop focusing on the tailspin and to begin to focus on what better looks like for you. Just begin to imagine, like, what does better look like? What does happiness look like? What does being out of this situation, being out of this fog or this funk look like, right? And once you have the image of what that looks like, you can begin to plan and design around bringing yourself out of that. Once you begin to
Did we lose
bringing
Rev?
yourself out of it, you can take the first step toward freedom. You can take the first step toward getting up. One of the parables that I liken this sort of experience to is that of the prodigal son, right? And one of the things that I love about the prodigal son that I think mirrors so many of us is that he had brilliance and genius within him. But for those of us who are familiar with the parable, we know that in his lowest point, he was living in a pig pen, jealous of what the pigs had to eat. Right?
Yeah.
Like you've fallen off. You're jealous of what the pigs have to eat. But what did the prodigal son do? He located himself, and then he began to visualize what better was for him. So for him, better was going back to his father's house, even if it meant he had to go back as a servant. So really, like he is a king's kid, but he's ready to live out a lesser role, because even the lesser role of servant in his father's house was better than being jealous of the pigs as he's living in squalor, right? Mm-hmm. Amongst the smell and the grime and the dirt and the discomfort that is unfamiliar and inconsistent, not only with who he is ideally, but with what he's used to, right? And so when we find ourselves in this mental and emotional stupor, it's not uncommon for us to begin to settle for things that are inconsistent, not only with who we are, but with what we are accustomed to, right? And so what he did was he began to envision what better was for him. It's just being at my father's house is getting out of this situation, right? Mm-hmm. It's getting out of this situation. It's not languishing in it. It's not beating myself up about having fallen off. Like all of that stuff is a useless waste of energy. What he did was he began to imagine what his better space and place looked like. And then he designed his plan. He said, I will get up, I will go, and I will say, right?
Right.
I will go and I will say. I'd offer that same roadmap to anyone who finds themselves having fall off within the context of their relationship, their profession, their finances, their health, right? I will get up, I will go, and I will say. So the first thing you have to do is make the decision to choose that you're no longer going to settle for being in the funk. So what does that mean? That might mean instead of laying around in the house coat today, like I just throw on some clothes, put on a little smell good, and go outside in nature and breathe. Right? I'll get up. Right? I won't settle. I won't tolerate for this. It might, if I'm in a negative relationship, getting up might mean saying today, as my teacher Blanche Wilson would often say, when somebody brings negativity to you, you just tell them, I didn't pack my bags to take this trip with you today.
That's right.
I'll get up, right? Just because I don't have to be pulled down just because your vibration is lower than mine. I'll get up.
Right.
I'll get up. I'll go. Meaning that you'll put yourself into action. You're gonna move, right? So it's one thing to get up. It's another to move.
Right.
All right.
One of the things I love about Hollywood and cinema is that oftentimes whenever they want us to see an arc or a change in a character, they'll move them to a new location.
Right. Yeah.
Right. They send them to a new location because it signals
that'll change.
A real shift. Mm. Right. And so when we stay where we are, when we stay among the things, even if they're uncomfortable, the more familiar they become to us, the easier it is to stay in it. And so it's one thing to get up, it's quite another to move away from what does not work for you. You'd be amazed at the number of people who complain rather than correct.
They won't get up and move.
And they won't get up and move.
That's right.
So I'll get up, I'll go, and then he'll say, I'll say. So he already decided what the conversation was going to be like when he got to his father's house. How does that apply to you and I? What does that look like for us? What's the conversation I'm having with myself as I'm working through this experience? What's the conversation I'm having with myself as I'm preparing to engage in a tough talk with my spouse or my mate? What's the conversation I'm having with myself about how I'm going to improve my finances? What's the conversation I'm having with myself about making the corrections and doing the things I need to do to improve my health, right? Because we know we never outperform our proclamations. That's right. You never outperform your conversation. So what we say to ourselves is critical. The way we talk to ourselves is critical in how we begin to transform our life, world, and affairs. So that's what I would do. And then you can go get the book so you can get your other tools.
Right. So you can, the rest of your year could just be off the chain, right? You got up, you moved, and now you got the book. You got 365 days. By the end of that, you should be on the second floor.
All right.
That's right. That's right.
We have another comment.
Yeah. I will get up, I will go, and I will stay. Amen. Say amen.
Yeah, we will not stay.
No. Yeah, we done got up and we done got to move.
And I will say, amen.
Yes, right. Amen.
And so did Vicky say something? Right there, yeah. Right there. Yep.
In marriages, we both are in control. Amen.
Amen.
Well, you're definitely in control of yourself. That's for sure. That's
yes, right.
You can definitely control.
Yes.
And so
and you can also so I agree, Tina. You're definitely in control of yourself, and you have influence with your spouse.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And that influence can be in both ways. It can be in a negative sense and in a positive. As you said, as we allow people to push our buttons, right? Or we allow to disconnect them and rewire them to something else, to a more positive sense, instead of allowing them to control how we react. Yeah. So any other comments? So let's show the Reverend's website. So if you guys want to know more about Reverend Wells, you can reach his website at www.derrickbwells.com. That's
right. Talk to me about this, Rev. What you got? You got a ton of stuff on here now.
Yeah, man. So one of the things I realize, I'm sure you guys realize it too, is that when it comes to being able to support people in becoming the best version of themselves.
Yes.
There are some people that will absolutely be able to touch and help and reach through the doors of the ministry. Mm-hmm. And then there are others who are never going to cross the threshold of our door. Right. But it doesn't mean they don't want to be better. Right. Like in my barbershop, there's this young man, his name is Benny. And Benny is he's just a straight up hood dude. Mm-hmm. And every time I run into Benny at the shop, we have really enlightening, engaging conversations about spirituality, about life. And Benny is committed to doing better in his life, but he's not coming to church to figure out how to do that. Right. So, sometimes, as they say, Muhammad has to go to the mountain, and sometimes the mountain has to go to Muhammad. And so DerrickBWells.com is really about being able to provide tools and resources to those who want them, to those who want to have access to them, and be able to give it in a way that's bite-sized, digestible, easy to consume. Like I've got a couple of really good courses on there. There's a 30-day course that's Play Bigger is my 30-day course. It's a 30-day transformational program that gives you the ability to work it at your own pace. I've got a longer course on there, Designing Life You Deserve. That course is, I think, like 7-8 modules. And then in my other life, I also do some high performance coaching and things like that. So that's Live Happy, man.
That's how you start to live happy right there. We got resources after resources after resources for you guys. So listen, you can, like I said, legendaryrelationship.com/books. That's where you can go and pick up Derrick's book, Live Happy. That's because that's what we want you to do.
That's right.
And you know what? You by purchasing it through our link, you help out the channel, right? We supporting one another. We're bringing you the resources. We're bringing you the author. We're letting you ask questions to the author. So just go ahead, legendaryrelationship.com/books. Click on that.
Live a better life.
And then, yep. 360. I'm giving you a year's worth of gifts here. Come on now, people.
That's good stuff, man. That's good stuff.
All right. right. So as we get out of here, I don't think we have any more questions. Thank you for being our guest tonight. I think
Yes.
that wraps up another Friday Night Live.
Wait a minute, hold on. Can I say my thing?
You sure can, baby.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right, our podcast come out every Wednesday. It's Love and Beyond the I Do. And you can find it at loveandbeyondtheido.com and wherever you can get your podcast delivered. We're everywhere. iHeartRadio,
Can I say
Lady in the
one thing,
Tube.
too?
What's that?
I love your glamour shots, man. Y'all look good together.
Thank you, Rev.
Y'all look good. Y'all
You can
look
go to
good
the website
together, man.
too, baby,
It's a good look. It's a good look. Yeah. It's like, it's like black love, man. Y'all look good together, man.
Thank you. Thank you. We really appreciate that. You know what? As my son always says, this is the website here, legendaryrelationship.com. Actually, it is the producer of Love and Beyond the I Do podcast. Like my son always said, we just make it look easy. That's all.
That's good.
And on the website, you can get the podcast there. You can get our merchandise. You can get our books. You can do the case study. And you can do a test. We have the quiz for relationships. If you want to know where your relationship is and how to get it from where it is to making it better or happier, right? So, that's the question we always ask. So we're going to end with that before we say our outline.
Mm-hmm.
So we all, we've heard the norm, right? I can't think of the word right now. Sometimes as you get older, words escape you, but that you can't be happy and married, right? So we're here to disillusion that. We're here to get rid of that myth and that norm. So what do you say about being married and happy?
So I think you have to.
And the short version.
Right? I think we always have to consider the source, right? And like even nowadays, there is some conversation around what's known as toxic positivity, meaning that people who have committed themselves to being constructive, to approaching life from a constructive, positive, happy perspective. There's something wrong with people who have decided and are putting in the work to live their lives at a higher vibration, right? There's conversation about people like that being toxic, right? And not because they're trying to force other people to be that way, but because they bring themselves into environments wherein people aren't committed to doing the work or don't know that it's possible for them or whatever the case may be. And so I think there is some backlash to people who have awakened to the awareness that they can have more, do more, be more, and give more. And by doing so, it heightens the quality of life for them. And so anyone who says that you can't be happy and married or you can't be happily married is just spouting nonsense. Now, maybe they can't be.
Right.
Maybe they can't be. But maybe they don't have the tools. Maybe they don't have the awareness. Maybe they don't have the right person.
Hey.
Yeah, all that is true.
All right.
Thing as being married to the wrong person.
Definitely.
But this notion that you can't be married and happy or happily married is just total nonsense. Of course you can, right? Because you get to design it the way you desire it. Now, is that work? Absolutely. Does it require you to make sacrifices? Of course it does. It's really challenging to be married and live a single lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? Like
that's very challenging.
Yeah.
That's gonna be tough, right? It's tough to be happy that way.
Right.
But if you're committed to doing what must be done in order to, as we said at the top, to bring 100% of yourself, right, and for your spouse or your mate to bring 100% of themselves, and the two of you take complete and total responsibility for yourselves. And then you add that to supporting the happiness, the joy, the sense of fulfillment of your mate, your spouse, your significant other, then sky's the limit. Like happiness is not the limit of what two people who find
Amen.
synergy in relationship can experience. Happiness is just one of the byproducts. It's not the pinnacle. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's
Yes.
That's right. That's
one
right.
of the characteristics of a healthy, happy, prosperous relationship. And so to that, Tina, I say anybody who says that you can't be happily married is just spouting tomfoolery. It's just total nonsense.
All right. So we have some last comments before we get out of here.
Vicky said happiness is being there for one another, without a doubt. And that's what we're trying to do here. We're just trying to teach you how to be there for one another in good and difficult times, you know, because we all know how to act when things are going smooth. It's just like when it's a little rough, we want to teach you how to do that.
So Vicky always said, I guess, as opposed to the pictures, that look of happiness. I guess she was talking about us, look of happiness.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so
And
much, Vicky. We
Jessica,
appreciate it.
Richmond says, thank you all.
You're very welcome. Thank you guys for coming out, receiving this good information. Now go purchase the book and
live happy. 365.
that's what we need to do here,
that
right?
Sums it up right there.
Yep, there you go. All right, guys, we appreciate you watching. We'll be back next week. We'll be back with Reverend Sherry.
Reverend Sherry
next week,
Out of
California, but it'll be 8 o'clock because we got to do it a little later, you know, because it's out of California. So bear with us.
So remember, we're taking our marriages and our relationships off of cruise control.
Thanks, guys.
Get back in the driver's seat.
Thanks for watching.